All right. Past, present, and your feedback to our future. So in the spirit of that title, so the objectives for the meeting, and again, as Phil mentioned, the four of us will be divvying up different portions of the topics, but we're going to start with just giving a brief overview of our history. 21-year history. Phil did a wonderful job pulling that together for all of us. And to reiterate what Phil had mentioned, there is a lot of text on the slides because there's a lot of content, a lot that we want to kind of celebrate, but please do not feel pressured to take notes or read the slide. All of this will be posted, so definitely just focus on how Phil is explaining the material. So we will get through that history as well as the mission for MAREA and the website and all of that good stuff and background. And then from there, we will be having a discussion about our present. So Chuck is going to present a bit about the programs and topics we've been presenting in our recent kind of past and our present right now. And that'll help us to discuss and hear from all of you on what you have been enjoying, any feedback you have, what you would love to see more of. And then from there, we can talk a bit more about our future. And we do want to kind of honor and visit some of the past. So we're hoping some of that kind of timeline and presentation content is going to help to have a really great discussion towards the end. And then we're going to finish off with a call to action because really we want to really focus in our future, I think, in engaging all of you and our members more. So we're going to talk at the end about some opportunities to engage with MAREA more and hopefully have some nice next steps for all of us moving forward after this meeting. So thank you for joining us. Phil, back to you.
Just to give you a picture of our board members, we currently include myself, Chuck Coe, Joe Matisco, Bill Zimmerman, Shizhou Darku, and Diana Burns. We included the past board members. They're in alphabetical order. Tried to put them in historical order, but some of them get a little jumbled up with that. But it was an interesting, for me, deep dive back into the past. I attended my first festival in 2005. So MAREA is a nonprofit 501c3 grassroots educational organization that supports citizen participation in renewable energy and sustainable living. So that's been our fundamental guide going forward as an organization. Our goal is to help individuals and families get good answers to big questions about what each of us can really do to improve prospects of a sustainable future. Our website has this information on it. So we don't get a lot of traffic on our website, but there's a lot of good information. Sometimes it's a little hard to find, but particularly going back and looking at past presentations or looking at past activities, it's a wealth of information that we've been maintaining over the years. So I want to start back to kind of set where we are and why we are where we are. How we started was the Mid-Atlantic Renewable Energy Association was incorporated in order as a nonprofit, a 501c3. So we were the umbrella in order to produce the Pennsylvania Renewable Energy and Sustainable Living Festivals. These festivals were 3-day festivals held in beautiful Kempton, Pennsylvania. For those of you who've been there, I'm sure many of you have, where we had more than 8,000 visitors. I think we topped at a number slightly over 10,000 in our peak year. 100 vendors and exhibitors and 60 or more lectures, and I think we topped 100 presentations and workshops one or two of those years. The festivals helped establish MAREA's role in the community as a trusted source of renewable energy information and resources, and places to find kindred spirits who are seeking to live sustainable sustainably. In the words of one of our first time visitors, I found the mothership. Um, and I know personally that was one of my experiences when I came in 2005. I could not believe that this place existed. It was a kind of home that I never knew I was missing, but had found. From the beginning, it was practice what we teach. Festivals were an intense opportunity to learn and celebrate innovations, ideas, practices in adoption of renewable energy technologies, green building, sustainability topics, transportation modalities. Um, we had a schools only day on Friday for colleges and high schools. Kids actually got credit to come to the festival. We had busloads of people coming on Friday. That became a major source and an inspiration, a lot of our activities. Lots of dozens of owner-hosted alternative fuel and electric converted cars came to show their equipment and demonstrate it and talk to people about it, share information. Um, we had similar activity relative to green architects, construction companies, homeowners, and aspirational individuals who just wanted a greener house. Sustainable farm methods, including traditional and no-till, growing your own fuel was a big part of that. This would be what we would call vegetable fuel at this point. Art, music, and sustainable fashion shows that were in line with what the practice that we were promoting. All foods and beverages were natural and organic. All waste was 100% composted or recycled, and stations for doing that were staffed with people to educate people how to do that process, which is something we found one of the great failings of recycling and composting is that people don't intuitively know what to do when placed with several containers to put your finished lunch or dinner in. Profits made from the festival were used for fund community educational renewable energy projects, and including the Kempton Fire Company, where we put solar panels on the roof and ran a solar system there for many years, and a wind turbine at the Kempton Fairgrounds. This also, we added monthly renewable energy and sustainable living presentations to prepare volunteers and also to generate support for the festival. It was truly a festival. The big year in art was in 2010 when a French artist came over and wanted to present uh, quite a dynamic display. It happened to coincide with the geodome that we had going, and the whole festival kind of had a quite a new vibe to it. Every year we had an alternative transportation venue that displayed cars and their owners and discussed and so on. We had exhibits, and most of the presentations took place in tents. The festivals ran from 2005 until 2011. Each festival had its own theme. We varied the presenters and presentations and and changed the festival to adapt to each year's theme. In 2012, we were planning the festival. The feedback we were continually receiving was despite the fact that there was a small fraction of repeat presenters, musicians, artists, significant technology and consequential program changes, people each year would ask, is there anything new at this year's festival? This gave us pause to thinking, how are we making a difference continuing this? The 2012 budget was over $100,000, which each year that number had been growing a little bit because of the addition of tents and more porta potties and more fencing and security. This was all dependent on fair weather attendance to recover the cost because all of our revenue came from the gates. With another festival drawing our vendors, which was one of our mitigating financial situations, the financial risk was significant to continue. And we started to ask ourselves, perhaps it was time for a change. The original objectives of MAREA were to address energy dependence on fossil fuels, foreign energy, and what was perceived as the reason for the Iraq War. The festival married traditional homestead practices with renewable energy to present the self-reliance and more sustainable living. Over the span of the festival, rapid advances in solar and electric vehicle technologies, which these co-beneficial technologies made it more viable to address climate change on a wider scale. The renaturalization of our food sources to expand the opportunity to address climate change over a broader base of rural, suburban, and urban circumstances. While the festival was a wonderful inspiration to the community and resulted in many individual lifestyle changes, it was becoming more apparent that lifestyle changes are needed on a much wider basis to address climate change. While MAREA's board remained committed to the original principles of energy independence, zero waste, and a sustainable lifestyle, the board adopted a key characteristic that we have kept ever since: inclusion. We can be right, but if we can't bring enough others along, we will not accomplish a more sustainable future. We are finding the means. What we must find is the will to adopt them. These two characteristics make MAREA unique among other environmental advocacy groups. Okay, so while we were contemplating going with the festival, we had um, a monthly speaker series continuing at Tech Park in Brightingsville, and which has continued all the way up until the COVID. We were also conducting residential solar installations as workshops, solar scholar workshops at Pennsylvania colleges, an annual solar boot camp at the SCF Energy Path Conference, solar home tours, annual alternative auto shows, alternative tool show to explore cleaner energy yard work options, annual open mic for DIY project presentations, and book discussions. So while all that was going on, which we'll go into some more detail on all of these things in subsequent slides, we published the book, Pennsylvania's Homeowner's Guide to Solar Electricity, that Vera Cole wrote in 2009. We wrote and co-produced educational film, Saving Sunshine, Keep the Lights On with Batteries and Solar Power, with Bullfrog Films. Created and maintained a current solar installer directory, won a right to know case in Pennsylvania court, making solar rebate records available to the public, which allowed us to quantify solar in the state of Pennsylvania, which up to that point was kept confidential. This enabled us to advocate for solar energy more effectively. We partnered with PA Clean Energy Coalition to advocate for clean energy policies. We signed letters, and we had invited media appearances on NPR's All Things Considered and Radio Times. So as we got into some of these activities, which were in themselves significant projects, for the residential solar installations, for homeowners who are interested in a solar PV system, if would agree to host a workshop in return for reduced labor costs, we would put on a workshop. Bill Hennessy and Bruce Hankin would design a system, order the equipment, collaborate with the homeowner on implementing new technologies and features such as microinverters, energy, emergency backup, battery storage, et cetera. This was an opportunity to introduce new technology with full awareness and recognition on the part of the homeowners, but also an opportunity to see what more we could do for them. Vera would then organize a training workshop. What was fun was that some of the attendees would later become installers or consultants or run large solar companies that are still flourishing today. And the homeowners who had these new systems installed in their homes would come with new knowledge and experience to share with others. Diana, why don't you share with us the Solar Scholar
Yeah.
workshops?
Yeah. I'm actually in several of these photos, which is funny. I'm the one in red and wearing a cap. This is where I first met Maria, and it was such an amazing experience. It was a week-long course, and it was a couple of things. We also did energy audits, but what I remember most is doing the actual PV solar array installation, and just learned so much. And it was just amazing to actually be using tools, learning electrical, and just really get very hands-on experience. And it was just really wonderful time. Had a great time with all the instructors, getting to know Phil, Vera, Bill, everyone. It's just very inspiring. And I would say it definitely set me off on the trajectory in my career where I am now. And it is certainly what has brought me back as a board member. So it's definitely a life-changing experience for me. You can go to the next slide. Since that model, that workshop model is definitely very intensive time-wise, and it was clear it took a lot to do that kind of lift. They then MAREA adopted solar boot camps through Sustainable Energy Fund's Energy Path. So basically taking the workshop in a box, as is listed here. So providing a very hands-on, but a doable and scalable kind of delivery system and learning model. So can move on. I'll pass on to Joe to hit on some things. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I've been a MAREA solar, excuse me, I've been a MAREA board member for over 11 years, and the Kempton Energy Festivals were certainly a big part of interesting me in becoming a board member. But the Opportunity House solar hot water system, if you're not familiar with Opportunity House in Reading, Pennsylvania, it improves the lives of children, adults, and families by providing emergency shelter, housing, meals, and daycare, among other services. Now, the solar hot water system project actually started operation in 2014 after years of design and fundraising. It was a collaboration with Opportunity House, MAREA, a local engineering company, and a heating and cooling firm, with other significant donations of labor, materials, and equipment from vendors and volunteers. Grants were also secured to help fund the $140,000 project, which was expected to save Opportunity House at least 50% on its natural gas costs for hot water heating, which was the largest component of its energy budget. You can move to the next slide. And then I was also involved in the solar home tours for MAREA, which took place in October 2015, April and October 2016, May 2017, and May 2018. I worked with our board and community contacts to organize them, and through the willingness of homeowners and businesses, individuals could walk through their homes, their businesses, take an informal tour to see solar energy application technologies and how they work. The tours were typically held on Saturdays between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. and involved a variety of solar and renewable energy applications, covering sites in Berks County, Lehigh, Chester, and Wayne counties at its peak. Site features included various rooftop photovoltaic arrays, a home with a rainwater containment system using gray water in the residence, which was really cool, do-it-yourself solar hot water heater installation, homes that approach net zero energy usage, ground-mounted solar arrays, one with a tracking system, and multiple solar systems that incorporated electric vehicle charging. So there was a multitude of different projects and something for just about everybody to see. There was also a solar passive home that is 100% off the grid with a battery backup system, which is pictured in the next slide. The tours themselves were well received and attended, with dozens of folks visiting the mostly residential sites and installations. And since they can see these installations firsthand, they could ask the homeowners questions, and sometimes even the installers were available to ask questions on system operation, costs, and performance. We received a lot of positive feedback from those tours. They were a lot of fun.
The alternative transportation started at the festival and grew each year as the technology was evolving. Um, Early stages, what we were doing was converting diesels to veggie fuel, and that was something you could do right at the festival. Come in with your diesel vehicle and leave with a vegetable oil powered vehicle. This was in the beginning of the electric stages. We were contacted by somebody who said, I have this cool PPL electric test car from the 60s, and I'd love to bring it to the festival, but I don't have any batteries to power it. So we got him in contact with Deca Battery, who one of our board members had strong connections with, and we outfitted him with batteries, and he came to the festival and ultimately came a little later on to the festival with another converted pickup truck for his dad, and then a converted Honda for his another. I'm not sure who that was for, but then converted another car, and then he bought one of the earlier Tesla Model S, then a Model X for his wife, and then two Model 3s for his two kids. So he has been a frequent attender of both, well, continuously since then. We had panels. We partnered with the Eastern Electric Vehicle Club, who meets down towards King of Prussia area, and we formed a nice partnership, helping them get resources and make connections, as well as them sharing their technical expertise. Here's an example of a VW Rabbit that was converted to electric in the early stages. And this was an opportunity for people to not only see the technology, but also talk to the people who did the conversion. Later on, we started to get inroads into pre-production models of vehicles. So we were able to get an early BMW Mini E. Was based on a Mini Cooper pre-production. Sadly, they didn't ever produce that electric version, but that was the forerunner for the BMW electric series. We had the first Tesla Roadster in Pennsylvania from one of our attendees. And he subsequently came with his later models of that, as well as his electric motorcycle. We did have quite a bit of two-wheeled transportation powered transportation that came into the shows, and then also test cars that Air Products was able to facilitate getting fuel cell hydrogen powered vehicles and a GM version. Independently, we connected with somebody who was the first plug-in hybrid electric diesel school bus in Pennsylvania. That's still driving today in the Nazareth School District by the private busing company that runs it. Saved an enormous amount of diesel fuel. And school buses are a good application, as are mail trucks. We continued that as we moved on to Tech Park. We had alternative car shows where it was an opportunity to share information with one another, learn from each other. One of our early attendees of the festival continued on and started his own company doing converting gas cars to electric cars, and did really beautiful job of conversions. Also updated from the original lead acid battery to the lithium ion. This is a converted Saab 99. He also did a wonderful Mazda Miata. We took that same concept and applied it to alternative yard equipment. Obviously, in MAREA tradition, the first thing is, do you need to cut it? Second thing is, if you cut it clean. Electric motors turned out to be as good as gas. There were a number of people who came to the show, tested lawnmowers, went home and bought them, electric lawnmowers. We also demonstrated push mowers. I think we were a little less intense with the conversion on that end of it, but I think there were some positive outcomes of that. And then for the ultimate workout, we had a demonstration from a person with a scythe. Another way we tried to demonstrate things was to open mic, typically in October, but sometimes additional times a year. We would try to bring in people who had independent projects that they were doing to help people see what things they could do in their own homes fairly easily. These included things like a solar oven, a heat pump water heater, a 8-watt bathroom fan, which is down from about 45 to 60 watts, along with LED lighting. And one of the things that I'd like to see more of is the hempcrete building block, which is a lighter weight and much less energy intensive version of a cinder block. We did lots of energy efficiency presentations over the years at Tech Park. And we had a book discussion group that met quarterly from 2015 to 2020, looking at environmental books. These also were partnered with presentations that we did at Tech Park. We've been maintaining, and this may be one of our better kept secrets, a Pennsylvania Solar installer directory. We have 57 installers listed currently. It's accessible on the website. You can download it. It's free. And one of the things that I ran across a couple years ago was an installer contacted us and said he'd like to be added to the directory because Pico directed people on their website, directed, if you're looking for an installer, to the MAREA website. And so he wanted to be listed on the MAREA website. So we added him to the list, and it's been common, and we didn't exactly know why in the past, but we had installers who have been regularly contacting us over the years to be sure they were included in the directory. So it is making a difference to some people for sure. Unfortunately, in 2020, when COVID-19 hit, fortunately, we had already experimented with hybrid in-person virtual online presentations at Tech Park. We went virtual and we learned some things. Attendees were no longer limited by the long drive to Tech Park. Speakers were no longer limited to those who could travel to the area. So we got people from, for example, Keith Warner from the Port of Seattle, or a couple of speakers we got from NREL from Colorado, and agrivoltaics speaker from there as well. We also began to expand our base a little bit beyond in the Northeast and in the South, some of them from relocations. And then a new question came from somebody in Alberta, Canada. We don't know how he got on our mailing list, but he is now. Okay, so that brought us to something MAREA virtual. As we went online, we also had the opportunity to record our presentations. This allowed past presentations to be available, and we've been able to post them on YouTube. So there's 60 plus presentations there for your convenient viewing. You can reach them either from the MAREA website, or you can just go directly to our channel on YouTube, just Mid-Atlantic Renewable Energy Association. Click on our channel and you'll see all of the presentations. You may have to sort them a little bit to find what you're looking for. We have slides and more on the website from some of the presentations that were not recorded. Again, sometimes they're a little hard to find, but there's a lot of information there, and the solar installer directory is on that. And tonight's presentation will be posted on the website. Chuck.
Hello. Next slide, please. Where are we now? So the coming events. This March, we're going to have the opportunity to tour a total recycling processing plant in Birdsboro, Pennsylvania. And we're going to have also an evening virtual presentation, which is an executive summary of the plant tour, plus an opportunity for you to ask questions on what bothers you and bugs you about recycling. I talked to the plant manager who is going to be doing both of these presentations, and he is very, very positive about giving all the information around answering your questions about recycling, both locally and nationally. In April, we are having Larry Amy, who is the program founder. Hold on, just give me 1 second here. He is the founder of and managing principal at the Stonehouse Group, and oversees all facilities, planning, project management, energy, sustainability projects, He's widely recognized for his expertise in local, state, and federal incentives that offset capital costs for high-impact, sustainable building investments. I think you'll really enjoy Larry. He's going to tell you about what is still available after the one big beautiful bill related to sustainable initiatives. So please join us for that.
That
And
was
then
originally scheduled, by the way, for January, and due to weather, we had to reposition that. So if you've already registered, you're still registered.
And there's also, following that in-person hybrid event, those that are in person are going to have a social opportunity at the Seven Sirens pub next door to the Stonehouse Group. So please put this on your calendar. And then in May 26th, we're having Marion Glenn, who is a professor of biological sciences. She's retired from Seton Hall University, where she was active in establishing the interdisciplinary major in environmental studies. She is a forest ecologist and has many student groups that have gone with her to beautify towns and urban areas. She has built microforests and is going to bring her ecology message to us at the end of May, on May 26th. So there's a lot going on as we move forward into this year. Next slide, please. Okay, so a step back over the past 5 years. What I've done is collected the various topical areas. We've had 5 topics on agricultural practices, improving sustainability through soil and nutrition enhancements, through permaculture, through the use of biochar to enhance carbon content in the soil, vertical farming, agricultural, agrovoltaics, combining solar panels with plants. And yes, the plants actually grow better. I'm not going to go through all of this. You can go through this slide yourself, but we had 5 environmental topics running from the stormwater that runs underground to getting the skies dark in the atmosphere. So the land, the sea, and the sky are all parts of our environmental challenges. Many topics on renewable with focus on solar and EVs. Residential topics, how to improve your own gardens, how to improve your own insulation in your homes. And of course, waste management, circularity are a hot topic that we continue to try and educate our audience on. Next slide, Phil. These are just some of the topics, and I'm not going to read through this eye chart. You can look at it after it is posted. But again, sustainability and renewable energy are key drivers for finding speakers that are going to help educate you in being more sustainable and what's going on in the local and global communities for improving sustainability. Next slide. Despite the board's efforts, and lots of effort went into this to try and understand, is there a preferred month? Is there a preferred subject? Is there a preferred topic? And we could not come up with any trend except that we on average have about 60 attendees, and it doesn't matter what time of year it is, it doesn't matter what the topic is, and that we double the amount of learning by our YouTube channel. So as many people go on after the virtual presentation in person and look at the YouTube video, and I suspect that a large portion of those people are additional people that were not in attendance at the meeting. So we are, on average, giving approximately 1,000 learning opportunities to persons each year. So that's pretty exciting. Next slide. Takes a lot of work, folks. Okay, so Diana was kind enough to take my workflow sheet and put it into a slide format. I am not going to read all this text. I'm just going to say that the top line, which is the blue blue numbers is mainly a program development activity, which takes a lot of effort to find a suitable speaker with enough expertise that is going to be able to address the questions and answers of the topic and not give a commercial for their commercial product, but actually talk about the technology and the science and the engineering behind the particular topic they're talking about. So we spend a lot of time trying to come up with a good list of topics, and then we spend even more time trying to find somebody with the expertise and the presentation skills to provide the information and educational opportunity for the MAREA audience. The second part of that roadmap is more of a logistics and execution branch, where once we have the speaker, we then make sure that we have their talking points, their bio, that we can provide the logistics for their connectivity to our Zoom platform, and finally make sure that they actually register for the meeting so that they can join the Zoom platform and give their presentation. So it's a lot of work. It happens over a period of 3 to 4 months before the actual presentation occurs. As you can see, we're already up to May, and we're looking forward to additional topics that are coming along for the remainder of this calendar year. Next slide. Just a reminder, go to our YouTube and learn more. Next slide. Okay, I guess we're going to turn this over to Diana, or
Sure.
did I want to do the next slide, I think?
Yeah, you can do the next slide. I think just a
Okay,
reminder, we had a note there too. You can either use the chat function for this if you're a little more shy.
so we'll stop
Otherwise,
recording at this point.
oh yeah, right, that too. Yep.
So Phil, could you stop recording, please?